affected, and the data was being sold for $700. Data included user IDs, real names, email addresses, and account settings. No couchsurfing passwords were included in this breach. Now again, with email addresses being stolen, that could lead to spam or phishing, and Couchsurfing reportedly was investigating the breach with an InfoSec firm. Number 7. Though all the hacks or leaks of data are incredibly serious problems, these next few that I'm going to mention pose some major consequences for the parties involved. Wawa is number 7. This one hit the news again at the end of January of 2020 about a huge credit card breach affecting 30 million customers. Wawa is a convenience store on the U.S. East Coast, so credit card details for 30 million Americans plus about 1 million foreigners were posted online for sale through underground forums. Wawa did disclose back in December of 2019 that malware was found on their point-of-sale systems, but the actual leaked data was not seen until January. This makes it one of the largest payment card data leaks to happen in recent history. Now, number 6, over the summer, we saw many protests happening involving police brutality to the point where Anonymous got involved. In June, news surfaced that Anonymous was dumping hundreds of gigabytes of data on law enforcement and internal communications, and this hack was dubbed Blue Leaks. 269 gigs of data, including audio and video, emails, Fusion Center data, intelligence documents, and more, were released, some of which was detailing how law enforcement was tracking protests across the U.S. The data was stolen through a web development firm called NetCentral. Now, number 5 was a kind of rare one. It wasn't really talked about, but this one is called Wishbone. It's a popular app amongst young teenagers, and they were hacked, and the data was found to be for sale on forums by researchers at Sybil, which is a cybersecurity company. The database of leaked information included email addresses, names, usernames, phone numbers, locations, genders, social media profiles, and passwords for 40 million users. 40. Even though the passwords were encrypted, they were not deliciously salty, so ZDNet reports that decoder software could give any buyer access. Wishbone's company, Mammoth Media, was aware of the situation, but they did not force users to change their passwords at time of reports. Number 4. In May, reports surfaced about a huge leak of data for Pakistani mobile subscribers. First, 115 million mobile user records were found for sale online for $2.1 million in Bitcoin, but then 44 million records were actually released online, and journalists received about 55 million total records. All of these were tied to that same 115 million leak. So this included names, addresses, national ID numbers, which are kind of like social security numbers, phone numbers, landlines, and dates for subscriptions. The breach appeared to have happened years ago, with the data only surfacing now. This breach was under investigation by Pakistani authorities, and it was unknown where this data came from or who was behind it. Now, number 3, MGM Resorts was originally hacked back in 2019, but their original data set was much larger than first reported. In July of 2020, reports showed that this breach actually affected more than 142 million hotel guests. Not that much smaller amount of 10 million that was first believed. So the data seemed to come from Night Lion Security and their data leak monitoring service, which is called Data Viper, while the company refuted all of these claims. Even though MGM Resorts was hacked back in 2019, they did not actually disclose this publicly until February of this year, when the first 10 million was posted online for free for download. The data includes names, physical addresses, date of birth, phone numbers, and email addresses, no payment data. MGM Resorts alerted affected customers. Now for number 2, this one is probably obvious, and it has been in recent headlines. It's good old SolarWinds, of course. Now, while this originally looked like a security firm, FireEye was breached and their security tools were accessed, it became much, much worse. According to reports, state-sponsored attackers infiltrated the supply chain for software from SolarWinds, allowing them to gain access to and infect networks within U.S. agencies and private sector organizations, along with worldwide organizations and agencies as well. While the full scope of this attack is not yet determined, the breach occurred 4